evening, everybody. This is Joe Ryan with the Southern Connecticut Hockey Report, and tonight we are joined by New Canaan goalie Blythe Novick. How are you doing tonight, Blythe?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good. Let's talk about the New Canaan Rams this year. I know your coach has told me since the beginning of the year you lost a lot of people in the offseason, plus injuries, but you've had a lot of success. Let's talk about the team this year. What's been the story?
Well, I think with all of that, we lost focus, we gained focus, and we really had to work to pull it all together and keep it consistent. So I think recently going into more difficult games and harder matchups and leading into playoffs, we just really want to stay consistent and kind of drop that whole mentality and play as one. And we have a lot of the girls back, so that's also helpful. But kind of moving forward and letting that go and just playing our game.
You know, it seems, when it always comes down to the FCIAC, people think New Canaan and Darien first in the girls' hockey. And, of course, Greenwich gets a little love, too. But, I mean, you people are the main focus. Talk about the team and coming in and the responsibility of, the legacy. Plus, is there extra pressure on it because of the expectations?
Yeah, I think so, but we have to remind ourselves that this is a new year, a new team, all of that. And when we compare ourselves to what we've done and what we've been, I think it's not the healthiest situation. So while using that motivation to be we are a good program, we have to remind ourselves what we have currently and redo and remake history and keep going and pushing forward. So.
When you look at the team so far, like we said, with the losses, the injuries, and everything, has the success surprised you a little bit, or is it, has it been tough maintaining that success level?
Well, I think it's been a little tricky just keeping consistency and staying tough and animated, but we've been doing our best to maintain a high level of play through it all, and I think that really comes down to how badly our team wants it, and if we want it that badly, we can pull it together and make things happen as opposed to having a stacked team and relying solely on talent. We have to rely on the passion a bit.
When you look at the game, first of all, coming up this week, you got Darien again. You beat them 1-0 to begin already this year. Everybody says one of the hardest things to do is to beat a rival twice. Talk about your focus going into that game.
Well, I definitely think that anyone can win that game. We know between the matchups of Darien, New Canaan, and Greenwich, it really just depends on how you play that night. And I think what sets us apart from any other team is how badly we want it. And when we want it that badly, we all come together and play as one. So I think going in, we just have to remember what we've been doing, working on a practice, a lot of the D-zone stuff, and keep it simple. We like to overthink everything as a team, so keeping it to what we know and what we can do best really helps eliminate any question and takes it all out of the game.
Now, of course, your coach, Rich Buell, one of the longtime veterans and legends in this area, won his 500th game last week.
Yeah.
When were you girls aware that he was approaching that record, and how much did it mean to you to be on the ice when he finally got it?
Well, someone made mention of it early on in the season, but we didn't really think, we're this is great, it's going to be this season sometime, and then earlier that week, they made mention of it, and we recognized how special that was, especially for someone like Buell. He's amazing, and he does so much for the program and loves us all so much. So we really just wanted to get that win for him, and that was a special game. And the score was a little crazy. It was a high-point game, so really being able to pull it all together and capitalize on the last goal and do it for him, because he deserves it.
Let's go back to the start of your hockey time, your hockey career here. We've talked about it before. I interviewed you earlier in the year. Goalie. It's one of the tough positions. I tell you, it's one of those positions you love to examine as a sports writer because a lot of responsibility as a goalie.
Yeah.
And it's the one position on the hockey team that seems to get the win and loss attached to it, no matter what. So you got that over your head, that spotlight. How did you get into being a goalie? Tell everybody your story behind that.
So actually, I was a mite, and I had tried out to be on the Winter Club team, and I wasn't the best, and I was playing player at the time, and I remember the coach one day was like, raise your hand if you want to play goalie this game, because we had a rotation and it wasn't something that anyone really wanted to do. And at one point he was like, if no one volunteers to play goalie, we're all getting on the line and skating. And I was little, I was like, I don't want to skate. So I raised my hand and I was like, I'll do it. And I just said it really quietly. And then I did it, and I somehow happened to work out. I mean, I don't really remember it that well. And after that, they had like people work with me during practice. I had player gear on, but they like taught me little goalie stuff, and I stuck with it because I think I was better at that than playing player, and I enjoyed it, and it was something that I had that was fun. So
now you have two older sisters and an older brother,
Yeah.
and they play a little hockey themselves, right?
Yes.
Did they play goalie at all, or is it just no?
Definitely not, no. I think my brother played defense and my sisters played forward, so it's random.
When you came home and you told them you were going to be a goalie, did they have any reaction to it?
Honestly, I don't really remember. All I know is that the Winter Club sent me home with like they had like a rotation of goalie gear that they kept in a bag, and they handed it to whoever played goalie. And then I eventually got my own pads, and I was a real goalie per se. So
now, when you started playing mites and you started going into the Ice Cats, talk about your progression as a goalie. How was that? Did you work at it? How did you become better at it?
Well, I just stuck with it, and people put time into me, and I was thankful for that. And I grew up doing it, so year after year, I think I got a little better, and I built off that, and I love the competition of it, and I kind of love that you feel the pressure, and it's kind of on you a little bit, even though it's not. It feels like it, but I enjoyed that, and it's the best feeling in the world when you do something good for a team. So I think little Blythe is like, this is the best thing ever. So I enjoyed the spotlight.
Were you getting good feedback throughout that you were one of the better goalies in the league? What was the reaction you were getting from people?
Honestly, they were like, you're really good at it, just stick with it. And I didn't really think about going back to player, so no one really had to convince me. And then I think as I got older, I got more serious, and my competitive nature led me to keep on going and eventually play in high school.
Now, what other sports did you play when you were growing up?
Oh my gosh. You name it, I played it. I did everything. I even did like karate when I was little. I don't even know, but tennis, lacrosse, hockey. I rode horses, soccer. I did everything.
Did hockey, once you got to hockey, was that kind of your main focus? Or?
Yeah. Well, I think like getting closer to high school, I kind of had to narrow down what I did, and I stuck with riding and hockey because those were the two things that I really loved to do. So.
And let's talk about when you finally got into high school. I mean, you're joining a program like New Canaan can be intimidating. Were there other goalies ahead of you? I mean, you took over right away. What was that like?
There was one other goalie, Kara Fahey. She was a junior at the time when I came. When I came, she was a junior, and she was the nicest person ever. Was so supportive. Always wanted me to do my best. Stood behind me with everything. And she's an amazing athlete, an amazing person, so I loved having her as a mentor and to really guide me onto the team and show me the ways. So thankful for that.
That's got to be important, and you got to give her a lot of credit for taking a back seat to you. And you achieved All-State as a freshman. Were you shocked at that, or take me through that? That you made that kind of an impact as a 14-year-old?
Yeah, to be completely honest, I didn't really know what All-State or All-FCX was, and I think that was helpful. I went out every game and I was like, I'm just going to go have fun. I was new to the program, I was new to the league. I had no expectations, so I think that really paid off in the long run because I just played for myself, I played for my team, and that was the outcome. And when I did know, I was thrilled when someone explained it to me, but I was happy.
And you've had two years of All-State accolades, and hopefully a third one coming along this year, along with state championship. Take me through, the impact of the Ram hockey on the community. I mean, a lot of communities, they kind of overlook the girls hockey for some reason, but it seems that Darien, New Canaan, they embrace the girls hockey. Talk about that.
Well, I think we had such a talent, especially last year. I think we really made our mark on the high school and our town as a whole because we had such a great group of girls, and we loved what we did last year, and we were all able to come together and have such a great season that I think watching the progression of our team and our year was really fun for people. So they kind of stuck by it and were really happy with us and happy with the program. So starting this year, they were at all the games, ready to cheer us on, and it's a really great feeling having people behind you. It makes it so much fun, and honestly, it elevates the game and gives us that extra push to be great.
Now, we talked about this before. It was something I picked up in a book about Jim Craig, the Olympic hockey goalie, about how you break down a game, a goalie. I never thought about it and you put it in perspective for me. Tell people how you break down a game.
Well, to be completely honest, I really just think about playing it play by play, 5 minutes, not looking at the game as a whole because that's overwhelming. So much can happen in that time. So really just breaking it down to that play, what's happening in our zone, and just playing play by play, I think is the most important thing.
But to break it down, so it's not thinking of the whole period. You're thinking of 5 minute segments and winning that 5 minutes. Yeah. So overall victory. I
don't allow myself to look at the bigger picture because I feel like at that moment when you let yourself do that, it's when something bad happens. Yeah. So I just play the there and now.
And we talked to you and your goalie coach. You didn't give me the name of the goalie coach.
Ryan Hull.
Yeah, you have a saying, go for a ride.
Yeah.
So and that goes with your other passion with this chuck and horse jumping.
Yes.
Let's go a little bit into horse jumping and how that relates the pressure of horse jumping to being a goalie.
Yeah. I like to carry over like a lot of things from riding to this because riding's such a high pressure sport and anything can happen and there's so much on the line that's so much more pressure than when you come play goalie. It almost feels relaxing. So I think one of the most important things that I've been able to learn from the riding and take to the hockey is that 10% of the sport is what happens, and 90% is how you react to that. So I think being able, in hockey at least, to adjust to what's going on and not letting your team down and just keeping everything going and keeping your team in the game. And if a goal goes in, but you can't get down on yourself because that leads to so many more goals. So I think using that, I've been able to motivate myself to stay strong mentally and physically. So.
All right. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to meet Blythe's parents, and we're going to talk about being the parents of a hockey goalie. This is Joe Ryan. We'll be back after this break. Hey, this is Joe Wright, and we are back. And joining Blythe, Novick, and myself are our father, Stephen, and mother, Lisa. How you guys doing tonight?
Terrific, thank you.
Hey, nice. Thank you for coming in. Let's just start out. Having a daughter who's a hockey goalie, when she came home and said, I'm going to be a goalie, what was your first reaction?
I looked at the expense side of it. That's just me. Pads are expensive.
I tried to dissuade her, but she really wanted to do it.
Now, all your children played hockey, and Steve, you said you went on the ice once, and that was it. Let's do a little bit of that story you told us before we came on the air.
I just went out with my brother at Cantiac Park in Long Island. It was a free skate, hockey helmets on. Went out for the first time, made a turn. My brother went down. Somebody's skate had the unfortunate situation of nicking the back of his head, and he bled profusely. And that was enough hockey for me. Done.
And for you, did you have any experience growing up playing hockey or skating? Or
I always skated. I actually play hockey, but not very good hockey.
okay, so I mean,
Women's league.
I'm on a women's league at the Winter Club.
oh really?
Yeah.
So when you
I think league is loosely using the term, but I play.
okay, so when your kids started playing, what was going through your minds, each of you? What were you thinking when your kids were playing at that time?
I think our philosophy was basically afford them every opportunity to participate in every sport, not just hockey, and if it's stuck, great. So it originally morphed from skating and figure skating to ice hockey, and by the time Blythe, who was our youngest, stepped on the ice, she was a natural at skating and wanted to play ice hockey. So it wasn't really a discussion, she just played ice hockey.
Now, when going back to the angle of playing goalie, a lot of pressure on a young kid. Like I said to her when we were talking earlier in the section earlier, the goalie seems to get pegged with the win and the loss for a team. Were there any concerns about the pressure of playing goalie for her, or how did you feel about it?
I think as a parent, you always feel concerned for your child and want them to be perfect, but perfect is not possible. But I also used to feel that Blythe tried so hard and worked so hard and was naturally very athletic that she was going to give it her best. And so that made me feel good about her in that position.
And what were when she first started playing in goal and being even the successes, the bad games, what were the rides home? What were the kind of things you talked about? Blythe, you can chime in here too. Were they good? Were they good supportive rides home when you had a bad game? Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already really hard on myself, so I think I just am so passionate about it that no one really needs to tell me anything for me to know what I did wrong. So they don't really interject or say anything negative. But they'll ask me questions about the game, and sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to talk about it. But besides that, they're great.
I think being ignorant to the game allows me the opportunity to stand back and just watch, because I didn't play it, and it'd be hypocritical of me to comment not knowing how to skate and tell my skater that he or she did a poor job. So I sit back, I enjoy the game as a spectator. I'm an equal opportunist when it comes to criticizing everybody on the ice, so I stand by myself. But that's just me.
What about you? What about for you, as having played the sport and be a skater?
Well, I'm very supportive, and we really never, because I always think she's trying her best. Mm-hmm. So, and when she's a really great game, we'll say that was a really great game. But Blythe always knows if it was a great game or not a great game, and she dissects her play, and she sort of thinks about it, quietly takes it all in, and then she just goes on with her day. She doesn't really when it's good or bad, she likes to just move on, and you know.
I don't really linger on any of the games. It's kind of what's next. That's why I don't really like to talk about it after the fact, because I'm like, it happened, it's over, let's move on.
Now, for right now, for whether it be good or bad or whether it's fair, parents, especially of athletes, are getting under the microscope and getting some bad feedback in certain cases. When you see things around it, having raised 4 kids, what kind of aspects makes it a positive experience for you, and how do you keep it positive for the kids?
Well, there's a great group of girls that Blythe plays with. All the coaches are great and supportive and fun and kind, and the girls work so hard. 5:15 a.m. practices, up at 4:20 in the morning, and just they work. And then the parents are wonderful too. There's a really supportive, nice group of parents for the New Canaan girls hockey team too. So it's like a family. I told Rich Buell that he's created a family outside of everybody's family. And the girls are super close, and so are the parents. So it's very supportive.
Do you see, when you go to other rinks, do you see other parents maybe acting up, maybe not being so solid? I mean, you don't have to name the rink, you don't have to name the parents, but does it concern you when she goes to other rinks and maybe parents aren't behaving so well as you guys seem to do?
I think it's concerning. There are certain times where I think that people forget that it's a high school hockey game, and these girls are just doing the best they can. And sometimes when things get heated, I feel it for Blythe. Sometimes they'll be pounding on the glass, or people be screaming at her on the other team, and you feel like saying, "That's my baby out there." But she handles it. She turns it off. And in the end, I guess it's all life lessons, and she's a strong person.
I don't mind it. If anything, I'm like, oh, let's go do this. Like, they don't want us to win, so
Drive you
prove them
on.
wrong. Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. I don't know why. So.
How about her success? I mean, to be two-time All-State her first 2 years, and now a good chance of having a third one. I mean, of course you want the best for her, and I'm sure you had confidence in her. When she gets All-State, was that kind of something that surprised you, or what was? Talk about your emotions when you heard that she was an All-State goalie.
For me, I thought it was incredible, and what a great achievement. And it was just sort of the icing on top of a great first season and a great second season. I think we both were thrilled. Blythe actually came out and said, "I just made All-State and All-FCA, can I get a third piercing?" And we let her get it. That's the way she celebrated.
How about for you, Steve, when you heard that?
You know what? Yeah, I think when you have children, you want them to be better versions of ourselves. I think Blythe, everything rolls downhill. So we had two terrific twins that were born, went off to play lacrosse in college. Our son is a fabulous athlete, and Blythe is the best of all of them. And I mean that.
I hope they're watching.
Oh, sorry. But the reality of it is, I wasn't surprised by it based off of the performances. We were equally as happy for the team as we were for our own child, because it really is a team effort, and the 5 skaters that are in front of my daughter every day on the ice are a huge part of my daughter's success. So, you know, her being All-State is her receiving the award, but it really was part and parcel of everybody's performance on the ice.
Yeah, for sure.
Now let's talk about her other passion, horse riding, which her and Chuck. I mean, I don't know anything about equestrian, but I mean, a small girl like that on top of a huge animal. I mean, the worries out there. What was your experience with her getting into equestrian?
For me, it was foreign to me, and none of my other children had any interest either. And because Blythe was so rough and tumble and competitive her whole life, it surprised me that she wanted to do a sport where you have to be so penned in, and you're always dressed in a jacket and a shirt, and it's all very, it's just not rough and tumble. It's all very composed, but it's super hard and it's dangerous. So I always tell her, stay safe and have fun, and that's what I really mean, because it is a little bit nerve-wracking because there's so much out of your control.
Well, now, how do you pair up with a horse with Chuck? You know, all you can chime in on this. How did you find Chuck? He's a new horse to you, correct?
Yeah, fairly new.
I love the fact he's named Chuck, not Ambrosia, Fantasia, something like that. I like the fact
We
that
named him that. My mom hates it, so.
Come on, a horse named Chuck.
Well, it's actually kind of a long process. I tried a bunch of different horses the last time I went to go find him. But it's really like how you match up, the chemistry between you and the horse. It can be a great horse or a great rider, but the fit might not be right. So you just have to try and see which ones you get along with, and in the long run you're working towards a goal, so you also have to keep that in mind, what animal you think will get you to that goal and who you're going to work best with, because you're on top of a couple 1,000-pound animal. They have a mind of their own, so whatever you think is going to do the best job with you.
How about for you, Dad, when you see her out there doing that?
So when she started in ponies, I learned to hold my breath for 58 seconds, because that was a full round, and those were little cross rails.
Right.
And now that she's jumping meter 20, meter 50, I can't hold my breath that long any longer.
Right.
So it's very difficult for us to be observers, knowing the dangers, knowing that, like she said, you're riding a 2,000-pound animal at 30 miles per hour, jumping 4.5 feet in the air, landing, pivoting, and looking to the next jump. For us, or at least for myself, it's very difficult. It's the sport of kings,
Right.
which is very draining on the pocketbook.
Right.
I always sit there and I want to hold out a shingle and say, daughter for, lease or hire or adoption.
Maybe you can just sell rides on Chuck, or maybe easier way to go.
It's not the easiest animal, from what I'm told, anyway.
Now he's stable down in Florida, right?
Yeah. So,
And does he come up here during the summer, or
basically, they're down there during the winter, and then they'll come here for the spring, but we are always on the road traveling, so they go to a ton of different locations. But for the winter, they're down there, and someone's keeping him in shape and keeping him ready for when I get to go down and start competing.
Now, do they work him out every day and everything?
Yes, he will go on a treadmill, funny. He gets ridden, he goes out in paddocks and stuff, so they keep him well exercised and happy. So.
Do you find he treats you different, or is different around you when he hasn't seen you for a while, or is it that he knows you and responds to you right away?
Well, some of them are more like compassionate towards and excited when they see their owners than others. He gets happy, he gets excited, but then it's back to work. So he has a good personality though for a big animal like that. He's goofy.
Good to know, a goofy horse.
Yeah, for the most part.
One thing, we had a tragedy that happened on Sunday that really affects everybody. You as parents, and you as an athlete, Kobe Bryant dying like that. And, it brought to mind with me, because I was at the Connecticut Ice Tournament, because dealing with a lot of the hockey families, how it's kind of the families help each other, and one family can't go to a tournament, so the hockey player goes with that family. And I mean, it just struck me that a parent would hit them in the heart, because how many times have you seen her get in someone else's car, and you don't ever think of something like that happen. So when you heard about that on Sunday, how did that affect you?
For me, I did think about Gigi, the 13-year-old girl, and the other girls on that helicopter. And losing Kobe obviously is heartbreaking, but for me it was actually about the kids. And it is true, they were just going to play basketball.
And I mean, for Steve, for a kid, you say goodbye, and then it's these families, they're not coming back. It's gotta.
It did tear anybody that has a heart in the United States. It tore everybody. It's very, very difficult. You don't expect to go to work in the morning and not come home. You don't expect to get on a helicopter and not arrive at your destination and take 9 other people with you. It's very unfortunate. It's tragic, and the reality of it is he was an icon, an American icon, in sport and in life, and he was a champion in everything he did. So, looking at the athlete and Kobe Bryant, yes, and like my wife and I discussed, it was the other 9 people that you really also feel compassion for.
Yeah, I think it gave everybody a kick in the gut. But, this weekend we got the Darien game coming up, and Blythe had a shutout last time around. I know you guys are looking forward to that on Saturday. Overall, with all your kids, being a parent, would you, just a quick sentence, encourage parents to get their kids involved in sports?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it keeps them happy and with peers, and it teaches them so many life lessons. I think sports are wonderful, as long as your child likes what they're doing.
All right, we have run out of time, unfortunately. We have to say goodbye. I thank the Novick family for coming in tonight, and this is Joe Ryan for the Southern Connecticut Hockey Report.